Today we're going to be playing against Aron, and the whole idea of this episode is to practice the coordinate system. So I'm going to play as white just to have a fixed set of coordinates to work with, and as I make moves I want to just kind of pay attention to knowing what coordinates I'm actually moving to, just to kind of familiarize the board in my head moving forward. So I'm going to start as normally with pawn e4. And then just as my opponent moves, as I make my move, I just kind of want to think about like what coordinate am I moving to, but also thinking about the moves themselves still. So now I'm going to go knight to f3 to attack this pawn. And he's going to attack my pawn, so I'm going to defend with knight c3. Okay, he spread his bishop out, attacking this pawn. I think that's fine. I'm going to develop my own bishop, actually mirroring him here. So I'm going to go bishop c4. And so we're playing a little bit of a mirror match, but now I'm going to start deviating. So he just moved his pawn, which is could be an attacking move with this bishop next turn, but I'm going to go ahead and castle. And so now our minor pieces have been, mostly developed. We do have this bishop that we could maybe push out here. So let me think. One thing I could do is push this pawn to d4, and I would have the defense of the knight and the queen. He's only got 2 attackers on that square. So that could be one option. That would also give me room to develop this bishop next turn. So I'm going to go ahead and go pawn d4. Okay, presumably a mistake on the computer's part. I'm going to go ahead and capture on c5. To capture again or to look for other moves. Well, I can go ahead and maybe bring my bishop out. So that's one option. I am up a piece, so I can consider starting to trade at this point. So I'm going to go ahead and go bishop g5. And by the way, in future episodes, I don't plan to call out coordinates every time, but this episode really is to practice using the coordinate system from White's point of view, calling out those moves, just to familiarize myself with them. So this will not be a recurring theme from here on out. So now let me just take a look at the board. He's castled, and I want to start thinking about ways that I can get in a position to deliver checkmate. So I see here that my bishop can put the king in check, but is currently being defended by the queen and the rook, and also the king can just take since the square is not protected by any of my other pieces. So I'm not quite in the position yet, so I'm gonna put that thought on hold and continue moving forward. If I take here, he can take with the pawn or queen. If he takes with the queen, I could be in trouble with my own queen, so maybe let me hold off on that. I'm gonna go ahead and trade here, assuming he takes back. He might not. Okay, so he doesn't take back. So, the computer is not always making the best moves here. Let me go ahead and withdraw to safety. Oh, I forgot to call out moves there. So withdrawing to h4. He's attacking on c4, so I'm not in a position to take, and I can either retreat to b3 or maybe d3 or e2. If I retreat this way, I can maybe start moving towards the king. If I retreat to d3, though, my pawn's going to be in the way for a while, so I'm going to retreat. The other thing I'm thinking is if he pushes the pawn to b4 on his next turn, he'll be in a better position to attack this knight, and my knight doesn't really have anywhere great to run to, so that's a thought. Nonetheless, I'm going to go ahead and retreat to e2. Okay, so seems like a blunder there. I'm gonna go ahead and take the queen on f5. Or a great sacrifice that that I'm not seeing, some kind of strategy, but I'm gonna assume that was a mistake. So maybe now I can push this pawn forward, knowing that if he takes, I can take with the bishop and really start to put his king in danger. Okay, he's just pushing some pawns forward. I noticed that this pawn on e5 is now unprotected, so I'm going to go ahead and take the pawn on e5. Okay, he's moved his bishop to f5, attacking this pawn. That pawn's protected, so I'm not too worried about it. At this point, I'm wondering about actually blocking with the bishop on d3. Inviting a trade, that could be one option. That is indeed one option. That would also allow my queen to come out and take the pawn on h5. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to invite a trade here. All right, trade is declined, and that's okay. So I'm going to go ahead and now move queen to h5, getting much closer to the king now. Okay, pawn comes out. And if I take with the knight, I'm just thinking about like if this would be a good sacrifice. Take with knight. He takes back. I can take with the queen. And the king's only place to go will be this square, h8. And is there anything I could do to deliver checkmate in the next move? I don't think so. I'm not seeing it, at least. So I do like having my queen in this position. And even if it's not the next move that can deliver checkmate, I think it still might be... Oh, interesting. I could also take with the bishop. Yeah, this is tricky. This is a tricky one. I'm going to go ahead and stick with the original plan, take with the knight. We'll see where it goes from here. Okay, he takes. So let me just think again. If I take with my queen, I'm forcing him to this square. I like this plan. Let's continue. Oh, and I do have checkmate here because I have a pawn defending my queen as I come in here. Okay, great. Let's go ahead and jump into the report just to kind of see how we did. I feel good about that game. It's tough to remember to call out the coordinates, and like I said, that won't necessarily be a theme, but it's something I wanted to practice a little bit in this video. So hopefully that won't be annoying in future videos, but it is for my benefit in this video. So thanks for understanding that. Okay, so here we're basically just developing our pieces. I didn't see that the pawn on e5 is unprotected, so I could have taken that, but I decided to develop my bishop instead. And after castling, he moves his queen. Seems like the computer thought he should have castled there as well. Or the engine thought the computer should have. So here I have a pawn, which it's saying it should take, but I do have two defenders, so I'm not sure. I'm not sure why it wants that. Oh, it's saying the mistake. I guess it's saying the mistake is that now I've just gotten a free bishop there. Okay. So here, Yeah, I did have my. I was planning to trade here, so the mistake is not taking the bishop. I move the bishop back to safety. Oh, so this is interesting. Here I could have actually done en passant and take that piece without being taken back, but I didn't see it, so I retreated my bishop back. En passant is still hard for me to see, especially like in the middle of the game, so which is the only time it's gonna happen. Okay, moves the queen. Definitely feels like a mistake. I take the queen. Here from from which move was it? So here, inviting the trade. He doesn't take the trade. I guess this is a worse move because now I'm just a couple moves away from checkmate. And if he had taken the bishop, I don't think I would have been able to deliver checkmate. So let's see if that's true. Yeah, let's imagine. So let me see what I did. So after I took that pawn, and then he moved the pawn up, I'm curious to know if okay, yeah, so that's what I'm thinking. So if he had taken this bishop, I would have had to worry about my rook here. I could have taken the bishop right back, but now I'm not exactly in the same position to do the checkmate I did. So it does look like it was a mistake to move back and kind of give me such easy access to his king here. And after this, queen to g7, finishing off the game. Cool, so pretty good game there. Feel good about these more beginner level computers. I feel like I'm really starting to see the ways in which they operate, and a lot of playing the computers does seem to be sort of waiting for them to make a silly mistake, a mistake that a human probably wouldn't make. So I'm looking forward to playing humans on the site to make sure that like a different part of like my analytical thinking mind is getting trained there. So again, this episode was really just to practice kind of the coordinate system and bump up the difficulty of the CPU. But I'm thinking next episode, let's jump into the humans now that we've beaten all the beginner CPUs. And with that, I will see you next time.